When Emily Wickersham recently shared a glimpse of a fun NCIS reunion, it didn't come with a dramatic announcement, a teaser trailer, or a cryptic "stay tuned." It was simple, warm, casual, the kind of behind-the-scenes joy that feels almost accidental, and yet for longtime viewers it hit like a seismic wave. Because whenever Emily Wickersham is back in the orbit of NCIS, even socially, it reopens the door to one big, lingering question. Could Ellie Bishop actually return? Let's be honest, Bishop didn't get a clean goodbye. She got an exit wrapped in mystery, coded in espionage, and sealed with ambiguity. And in television language, ambiguity is never accidental. It's a bookmark. When Bishop left in season 18, she wasn't written out as defeated or disgraced. She engineered her own downfall. She strategically leaked classified information to create the appearance of misconduct, effectively burning her reputation to protect a deeper mission. Then she disappeared into the shadows, recruited into a covert CIA operation under Odette's guidance. That wasn't a farewell, that was a transformation. And now, after seeing Wickersham laughing and reconnecting with her former co-stars, it feels impossible not to imagine what that transformation could look like if it circled back to the bullpen. Ellie Bishop was never meant to be a Gibbs replacement. She wasn't designed to be a Tony clone or a Ziva echo. She was something softer at first, an analyst with quirky habits and a photographic memory. But over time, NCIS stripped away the comfort layer. They hardened her edges. They pushed her through trauma. They gave her obsession. They let her evolve. By the time she left, she wasn't the same woman who once sat cross-legged on the floor with case files spread around her like a puzzle. She had teeth. That evolution is exactly why her return would feel earned, not nostalgic. There's something poetic about the idea of Bishop coming back now. The NCIS landscape has changed dramatically. Gibbs is gone. The team dynamic has shifted. Tors has grown, though whether he's healed is debatable. Magee has stepped further into quiet leadership. The emotional ecosystem Bishop left behind is not the one she would return to. And that's dramatically delicious. Because let's talk about Tors. Their relationship never fully resolved. It simmered, it almost ignited, it hurt, and then it fractured under the weight of Bishop's secrets. Tors didn't just lose a colleague, he lost the version of Bishop he thought he knew. If she walked back into NCIS headquarters tomorrow, older, sharper, CIA-trained, what would that reunion look like? Would there be anger, relief, closure, chemistry that never quite burned out? NCIS has always thrived when it leans into emotional continuity. Ziva's return worked because it acknowledged history. It respected unfinished business. It didn't pretend the past hadn't mattered. Bishop deserves that same narrative respect. What makes Wickersham's reunion moment feel so significant isn't that it confirms anything. It doesn't, but it reminds us that the door isn't locked. There's no visible bitterness, no sense of distance, just camaraderie. And in the television world, that kind of goodwill is oxygen for surprise returns. Story-wise, the possibilities are endless. Imagine a case involving international espionage that intersects with the CIA. The team is chasing a ghost asset, someone operating in the grey. Intel gets scrambled, trust becomes fragile, and then mid-episode, the elevator doors open. Ellie Bishop steps out. Not as the uncertain analyst. Not as the agent trying to prove herself. But as someone who chose exile for growth. There's narrative symmetry in that. Gibbs once left to find peace. Bishop left to find purpose. Bringing her back now wouldn't undo her exit, it would complete the arc. And beyond the plot mechanics, there's something deeper at play. Ellie Bishop represented a transitional era of NCIS. She bridged the gap between the dinosaur years and the post-Gibbs future. She carried humor, intellect, vulnerability, and ultimately moral complexity. Her descent into calculated rule-breaking added shades of grey that the series hadn't always embraced so boldly. In hindsight, her departure feels almost ahead of its time. Now that NCIS is more comfortable exploring character-driven storytelling, a Bishop return could land with even more impact. She wouldn't need to reclaim her desk permanently. A limited arc would work beautifully, 3 or 4 episodes that explore who she has become. Has the CIA hardened her beyond recognition? Does she regret how she left? Did she ever really let go of the team? There's also a meta layer to all of this. Long-running procedurals survive on reinvention, but reinvention works best when it honors legacy. Bringing back familiar faces isn't about clinging to the past. It's about reinforcing emotional continuity. Fans invest years into these characters. When one disappears without resolution, that investment lingers. Wickersham's recent reunion moment reignites that investment. It says, we are still connected, and that connection matters. Of course, there's always the practical question, would she want to return? That's where the reunion feels encouraging. It didn't have the vibe of someone who has fully detached from a chapter of her life. It felt warm, nostalgic, open. And NCIS has a track record of surprising us when it comes to comebacks. If you had asked fans years ago whether Ziva would return, many would have said it was impossible. Yet she did, and it became one of the show's most emotionally resonant arcs. Bishop may not carry the same mythic weight as Ziva, but she carries something equally valuable: unfinished narrative business. In a series built on loyalty, trust, and team identity, unfinished business is story gold. Even if her return were brief, it would give closure to Tors, to Majee, to viewers who watched her grow from awkward NSA analyst to covert operative willing to sacrifice her career. And let's be real, the visual alone would be powerful. Bishop walking through the squad room again, the slight hesitation, the exchanged glances, the weight of history hanging in the air. That's not just fan service. That's emotional payoff. Until something official happens, all we have is hope, and a fun reunion snapshot that stirred it back to life. But sometimes hope is enough. Because in the world of NCIS, no exit is ever truly final unless it's written in stone. Bishop's was. Hers was written in shadows. And shadows have a way of shifting. So yes, seeing Emily Wickersham reconnect with her NCIS family might seem like a small thing on the surface. But for fans who still remember Bishop's final look, her carefully calculated fall, and the silence she left behind, it's everything.